everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you artist trading cards day 9 and day 10 of the ATCAD 2020 hashtag event going on in Art Joy of Sharing and the Art Joy of Sharing live stream channel. You can still join us. It's not too late. We're only 10 days in, and it's still fun. An artist trading card is a 3.5 by 2.5, or basically a 9 by 6.5 centimeters little card. I generally use watercolor paper, 140-pound watercolor paper, or 300 GSM, and I just cut them myself. You can also buy them pre-cut. A lot of different companies will offer those. So this one is one of the ones that we made on the live stream channel during that. I think we were making master boards, and then I cut it into little pieces. At least I think that's what it is. I don't know. I can't remember anymore. I have a basket of pretty little pieces of paper in the right size, and so I'm going for it. So there is a stencil from Stencil Girl involved. This was from a mashup between Mary Beth Shaw and Carolyn Dubie, I think, for a stencil club month. I'm not sure which one, but I'll link it below the video. It has a lot of words on it. I'm not sure what it says, but it's interesting to have all these letters. I think that letters make an interesting pattern on your art. And I know I'm not the only one. Letters and numbers often appear in mixed media pieces. So I just used some black acrylic paint and one of those little toothbrush stencil brushes that I have. They're supposed to be makeup brushes, but I use them for stencils and they work great. I used a real small, stiff one so that I could get a pretty good impression of the very thin lines on that stencil, and it worked good. Then I have this sheet of graphics. No idea where they came from, but I have lots and lots of things around my studio that I don't use that often. And so I was thinking that 30 days of ATCs would be a good time to use some of these little things. So I cut out this one. It's like a silhouette. It's got a black background and then just white parts where you can see that it's a person, a female person sitting on the beach. And I thought, well, I wished I was sitting on a beach. I believe I've mentioned that in the last couple of months. I'd like to get out and go travel and just do something else besides all the stuff that's going on. I think all of us agree that it would be nice to do something else right now. So I stuck that down with some Yoo-Hoo glue stick. I've been enjoying those glue sticks. They stick really well. Nothing has been coming apart. So for something small like this, I don't really need my matte medium. I can stick things together with the glue stick. Then I used an Arteza acrylic marker and made some purple around the edge of the graphic because there's purple in the background in one area, and I thought that would look nice. But still wasn't feeling it. So I'm thinking about it. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? So I decide that I will add a word, travel, because that seemed appropriate from the sticker pack from Tim Holtz. And still feeling underwhelmed. I decided maybe some washi tape. So I got out my bucket of washi tape and I found some that has colorful dots on a black background. I ended up having to snip it in half because I thought that it was too wide. It was 4 dots wide and I only wanted it to be 2 dots wide. So I know my camera is very zoomed in and you can't really see this, but when I put it on, you'll see it. I put some Yoo-Hoo glue stick down and put that little piece, half piece of washi tape across the top. And I liked that. I thought maybe it helped with the balance a little bit because that black square is so dominating everything. And then that little piece down at the bottom still, was kind of hidden. So it was better, still not wonderful. So then I decided to use some white Posca pen to go around the frame, hoping that that would bring it out from the background a little bit. And that was better. And I thought, maybe I was done with this one. I wasn't feeling very inspired. Sometimes that happens. You just look at something and you're like, it's okay. It's not great. It's okay. So I decided maybe a little bit of sparkle would help. So I got out this little tiny bottle of Nuvo Drops, which is basically some clear glue with some glitter in it. And I put on some sparkles here and there. I thought the sand would be sparkly, maybe the little sunshine would be sparkly, maybe a little sparkle on her hat. And I set it aside. Then later I came back and like, you know what really it needs is some bright color in the black square because everything in the background is so bright. And then I have this foreground piece that's black and white. And that's what was bothering me. It was this juxtaposition between all this color and pattern and then this not so much color and not so much pattern. So I decided to get out some brush markers and color in the white. So I used some orange and some pink on the girl's skin. I figured maybe she had a sunburn. Sitting out in the sun like that, she might have a sunburn. Um, it passes for skin tone. Just just a little bit. I wanted the colors that I put in the foreground to match the background, so that's the reason that I used the orange and the pink. I blended it out with a little bit of water just to kind of lighten it up a little bit and make it more blendy. The two colors blended together. It's hard to see on the video. It's very small. That's one thing is the ATCs are tiny. And I have my camera zoomed in as far as it will go. So that's how far it will go. I thought maybe her bathing suit was purple because we've got purple in the background, and then maybe her hat was green because we have green in the background. And then I added a little bit of yellow to the sand just to make it have a color. And that made it a lot better. So I was happy with that. Not my best ATC, not my worst. So on to day 10. That's 1/3 through the process of having an ATC every day in June. I decided I wanted to do some watercolor ones, and I wanted to have them torn on the edges instead of cut. Because lots of times you get these very large sheets of watercolor paper. It comes that way sometimes. And it has these beautiful decal edges on it. This is 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. That's the same as 300 GSM if you're in Europe. And I used my metal ruler to tear it into the right size pieces by making a mark on it and then tearing it. Then I got out my water jars and my watercolor palette. And I decided to start out with making the background and then letting it dry. So I'm getting my watercolor palette moist so that I can pick up the colors better. And then I'm going to do this one with a wet background. So I got my paper very wet with clear water, and then I am using kind of a red. I don't know the names of any of these colors because, I've got them in the little palettes. And I do have them marked, but I guess I wasn't paying that much attention. So I put the kind of dark red color and then this interesting turquoisey dark blue. That's probably Prussian blue. It kind of looks like Prussian blue. And then some pretty deep yellow. That's a cool color. And I just let all those colors get on the paper and blend together and smush and just make some sort of a background. I wasn't really thinking about what it would be, just getting the colors on there. The paper did, because I didn't tape down the paper and size it. Of course, it started to bow in the middle, become like a hill, and then the watercolor slides off the edges. So I blotted up a little bit on the edges and then just let it dry. So now it's dry. It's a different day. And I look at it and I think, well, it kind of looks like an ocean scene at sunset because if you're looking out at the ocean at sunset, you'll often get this red and yellow and orange colors against the blue of the ocean. So I decided, well, what I needed was a sun. And so I'm using clear water to lift the color up off the watercolor paper. This one is staining enough that it's not going to be white, pure white. So I get out my watercolor palette. I'm gonna paint anyway. So I get out my watercolor palette, and I do have one white in my watercolor palette, which there's really no such thing as a white watercolor. This is a water soluble paint. That's probably more like a gouache, but it's white. It's fairly translucent, so I'm gonna have to put quite a few layers on. But I decide to go back in with that same blue color and get a little bit of definition on the waves to start with. That blue color is a really cool color. I really like it. I need to figure out what color that is. But this palette is made up of a bunch of different brands and different colors watercolor. And I do have some brands. I have more than one brand of the same color. And how this happened was Peg Robinson and I were deciding that we wanted to do watercolor with like real watercolors, like expensive tube watercolors. And she follows a person from Jerry's Artorama who was selling these boxes, just big boxes of random watercolor stuff. You don't know what you're getting. It's a box of stuff. And she bought one for herself, and she was so happy about it that she bought one for me too. And then we each traded what we got, the tube colors that we got. We put them in half pans, let them dry, and traded with each other. So she has the same ones that I have, although I think she made more separate palettes with different ones, whereas I put them all in the same palette because I really didn't have these type of watercolors before. Some of them are Daniel Smith, some of them are Lucas, some of them are Cotman, which is like more of like a student grade. Some of them are the ones with honey. Honey is the binder. I forget the name of the. Anyway, all I'm saying is a mixture. It's just a mixture, and I put labels on all of them, and then I swatched them out and labeled each swatch so that I would know what they are. But I need to go and look at it before I can really tell you. So I'm adding some more of that white. I'm picking up some of the same yellow that I used before because it's dried on my palette. I put white on the sun that's going down behind the waves. I put some white in the sky to have like trailers of clouds across the sky. And you guys know I'm not a watercolor artist. I'm an acrylic artist. And so I'm used to the idea of being able to add white back in. In real watercolor, you decide what your subject is before you start, and then you leave white in the places that you want white. Either you just don't paint it at all and leave the paper coming through, or you put some masking fluid on there to block the areas that you want to remain light so that they don't get messed up. That's the way real watercolor works. So this is painting with watercolors in more of an acrylic way. So I've got my sunset going down. Now I need to add a boat so that you can tell for sure that it's the ocean, because a boat wouldn't be on the land, probably, unless it was on a trailer being towed behind a truck. But you know what I mean. So I'm painting in sails with some light blue paint and then darkening them up with a really, really deep, probably something like a Payne's gray maybe. Dark blue, and just constructing my boat. And I'm using a number 2 round brush for this, a really tiny one. The brush that I used at the beginning was a number 12 watercolor brush. I separate my watercolor brushes, which the ones that I have are synthetic sable, but you know, I don't have any of the real expensive natural bristle ones, but these work great. It's called Golden Taklon. It's a synthetic sable, and I think it's just perfectly fine. They have lots of spring to them, and they maintain their shape well. They come to a very, very small point, but have a lot of ability to hold water in the ferrule up, inside the brush. So I'm happy with synthetic brushes, which are plenty enough expensive if you get nice ones. Then I'm going to use some black to make the boat itself. It's like it's in silhouette, but yet it does have a little bit of contrast, some shading and highlight, even though it is a silhouette. Because I guess it would be a silhouette if the sun was behind it. And the sun is behind it, so that's why. I think my picture makes sense. I hope you're enjoying this video and this series of videos of ATCs all day long in the month of June. You can come and join us on Art Joy of Sharing Art Community and play along with sharing the ATCs that you are making during this month if you'd like to. The link to the art community on Facebook will be down below the video. Also, you can come and watch us on the Art Joy of Sharing live stream show, which is on Thursdays, 10:30 Central, 8:30 Pacific time, and all other kinds of times depending on where you live. And you can chat with us during the show in the chat box and chat with other people. And it's a lot of fun. Every Thursday, it's on a different channel. It's called Art Joy of Sharing, and Peg Robinson and I do that show together every Thursday. Also, if you are enjoying this, remember to give it a thumbs up. You can leave me a comment or question below. You can subscribe. You can turn on your notification bells so that you know when a new video comes out. I'm uploading a lot of videos this month, so you might miss one if you don't turn on your notification bells. You can also share this on Pinterest or share it on Facebook, send it to a friend you think might be interested. All those things help my channel by letting YouTube know that I'm making valuable content that someone might want to see, and then they can recommend it to someone else who might be interested in my content. So that helps my channel. So I'm just continuing to fuss. This number 2 brush has a really tiny point, so I can make really tiny little things. I put a couple people on the bow of the boat because they're probably out there watching the sunset. I know whenever I've been out on a boat, when I've been on vacation, I like to take the sunset cruise that will take you out, like in Mexico or whatever, to the bay, and you can watch the sun go down over the ocean. It's very beautiful. Sometimes you can see whales or dolphins or something like that, which I find absolutely awesome when that happens. So these people are probably looking for whales or dolphins and watching the sunset out on the boat. And added a little bit of color to the sails, just a hint of the yellowy red color like it might be reflecting, and a little bit on the top of the boat. And then of course the boat is casting a reflection onto the water because the sun is behind it. So a little bit of reflection with the sails on the water. So yeah, that's my little watercolor. The edges of the paper did not get color all the way to the edges because of the decaling, and I like that. That's like why I wanted to tear it instead of cut it. I think that looks cool. I tore 3 other ones, so you'll be seeing more of this watercolor paper coming in the next days. I don't know when exactly, but I'm just doing what I feel like doing that day, whatever it is. I do end up adding some words to this. It says, "Life was meant for a great adventure," and it's from a Tim Holtz Chit Chat sticker pack. So I just cut, it came out as all as one strip, and I just cut the words apart and kind of staggered them into the sky. And I really like this one. I think it's fun. I also put my paper on the back and numbered it number 10 for 2020. So yeah, I've got 10 done, 20 more to go. It's pretty exciting, right? I've been loving seeing everyone else's on Instagram and in our Facebook group. If you post your ATC somewhere on social media, just use that hashtag ATCAD2020, and that hashtag sorts it into a folder on Instagram so that you can look at all of them at once. If you want to look at other people's ATCs, you can use that hashtag in the search bar on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or even Twitter or even just on Google itself, and you'll come up with pictures, lots of pictures. If you just put hashtag ATCAD or ATCAD, you will still come up with tons, even more, because we've been doing this since 2017. So we have ATC AD 2017, ATC AD 2018. You see where I'm going with that. So this is our 4th year of doing an artist trading card a day in June. So this one is just about over. I'm just adding some pencil lines around my little blocks of writing to make them more distinct, and then I'm done. Thanks. Bye-bye.